What's up, guys and gals? My name is Eclepid, and we are back to... Well, we're not back with anything. This is new. This is a new recording of Umineko no Nakakura ni, as you can see here, and I'm here with Matt.
Hey there.
Yeah. So basically, if you hear me if you hear him calling me John, I'm John. He's Matt. So just so you don't get confused. Anyways, I've played the game through Chapter 7. I've played through Chapter 7, so I do know what happens most of the time, but I haven't played Chapter 8, so some of the game is new to me. Matt hasn't played any of it.
None. Totally blind.
He's totally blind, so this is a blind playthrough for him. For me, it's not a blind playthrough, well, until a certain point, and I've played through this once, and it was 2 or 3 years ago, so my memory's kind of hazy. I just remember it was really good, and unfortunately I got really busy, didn't end up getting to finish it, so restarting would be a nice start for me. So anyways, Umineko no Nakakura ni, round over the witching reasoning. Let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Chapter 1. And just gonna say, Matt's going into this completely blind. He knows nothing about this.
Not even a synopsis.
The story is undoubtedly nothing more than a fantasy. It could not have possibly have any relation to real persons, organization, places, or events. Only thing he knows about this is that it's mystery based. But, yeah. All right.
Uh-oh.
Do you want to take the narration, or should I take... I'll take the narration at first. We can rotate.
Okay, yeah, that works.
The old physician let out a sigh as he removed the stethoscope. 2 elderly men could be seen in the dimly lit study, which was filled with dust and a sickly sweet stench. In the corner of the room, which was much larger than what most people would call a study, there was an expensive-looking bed, a man undergoing a medical examination, and the physician conducting it. There was also what appeared to be a servant watching over their whole scene. Here we go, Kinzo.
Ooh, that's rough.
The man who had bared his chest for the stethoscope spoke unapologetically as he straightened out his clothes. After eyeing both the master who demanded the alcohol and his doctor who forbade it, Genji, the old butler, silently gave a slight nod and carried out his master's orders faithfully. Nanjo, the man's personal doctor, let out a deep sigh once again as he watched the butler busy himself alongside the liquor cabinet. There was a smell filling up the room. This sweet, poisonous aroma felt as though it melted the heart, if not the soul itself. It was the smell of that venomous green drink that the man couldn't bring himself to part from.
Green.
Nanjo.
Green.
I wonder what it is if it's green.
I guess we'll never know, or maybe we will. I'm not sure. When alcohol becomes
Your life.
Taking alcoholism to a new level. With one eye on Nanjo, who had his face set in a resigned expression, Kinzo took the glass that Genji was holding out to him. There are probably very few people who would associate the venomous color which filled the glass with an alcoholic beverage.
南條、正直に話せ。私の命はあとどの程度持つ？
さて、どのくらいと申し上げればそのお酒を控えてくれますよな。
Nanjo once again let out a sigh of resignation. As he watched Kinzo down the glass, regardless, he spoke.
長くはありませんな。
Dun dun dun.
どの程度に長くないというのだ？
I feel like that was pretty self-explanatory.
金蔵さんの爪もなかなかですが、私のキングを追い詰めるには至りますまい。
Nanjo's gaze was directed at a side table with a stately chess set placed on top of it. Looks like the, who's winning here? Black only has a, analyzing chess in a game.
Black has 2 rooks, a knight, and a bishop. Plus the king.
White has two rooks, a knight, a bishop.
Oh yeah. But black has 1 more pawn, I think, right?
I think the, yeah, I guess it's a pretty close game. Judging by the positioning of the pieces, the match was well into the endgame. Black rook and bishop were cutting deep into the enemy lines. The white king had already been castled and cornered, so that even an amateur could see the match would reach its conclusion before too long. So yeah, black's gonna win. Every time Nanjo came to give a medical examination, both of them would make a few moves. Nanjo was stating with confidence that Kinzo would most likely fall into his eternal sleep before this game could be concluded.
Wow.
Those were less the words of a physician than they were the words of an old friend.
普通の患者になら遺言を書くよう勧める頃です。
遺言とは何だ南條？私の屍をどのように食い散らかせとハゲタカどもに指南する書き置きなのか？
いや、違いますぞ。遺言は意思を残すことだ。遺産分配のことだけを書くものじゃない。
ほう、遺産分配以外に書くこととは何なのか？
心残りややり残し、受け継いでほしいことや伝えたいこと、何でもいいんです。
受け継いでほしいことや伝えたいことだと？バカバカしい。この後ろ宮金蔵、後に残したいことも伝えたいこともただの一つもないわ。
Salty old man.
裸一貫で生まれた。そして裸一貫で死ぬ。
And thus, nothing will be ever nothing.
バカ息子どもに残したいものなど何一つないわ。
Petty old man.
もしも訪れる最後が今日だとしても、今だとしても。
I get the feeling we're not supposed to like him right now.
Maybe we're supposed to think he's completely insane because he seems kind of off his rocker.
私は何も恐れることなくその死の運命を受け入れようではないか。
金蔵さん。
すべてを築き上げた富も名誉もすべてだ。それらは私と共に築き上げられ、私と共に失われよう。
There, another thing I just thought of. There are a lot of things in this game that seem like normal offhanded comments, but they actually are very significant. So if you see something that seems kind of normal, but you're like, oh, why did they say that? It's probably really important. Like, if you'll see what I mean. Like, when you get to a point and you see, oh crap, I remember when they said that. That means this is actually going to happen. You realize it, and you're like, oh man, I can't believe I overlooked that. That's the feeling when I got the when playing this the first time. Was like, wow.
Yeah.
後に残してやるものなど何もないわ。何もない。あとは野となれ山となれ。墓も棺も何も望まぬわ。それが魔女と私の契約だ。
Which
Now it gets interesting.
私が死ぬ時に全てを失う。
it's all fairly normal up until then.
初めからその約束だからこそ何も残らぬのだ。何も残せぬのだ。
After reaching a furious crescendo, Kinzo suddenly slumped over. His expression was limp and feeble, as though an evil spirit had possessed him, then left.
だが未練がある。残すものは何一つないが、残したまま行けぬものが。
それを書き記せばいい。もちろん生きているうちにこなせればそれでいい。だが万一の時、残された者がそれを引き継いでくれる。自分に万一があっても必ずその心残りが解決できるように残していく。それが遺言というものです。
When Nanjo tried to gently pat Kinzo's shoulder, the dying man flew into sudden rage and batted away Nanjo's hand.
ダメだダメだダメだ。私が生きているうちでなくてはならぬ。私は死ねば魂はすぐに契約の悪魔に食らわれて消え去ってしまう。死後の世界も安らぎも私にはないのだ。だから全ては私が生きているうちでなければならぬ。だから遺言状など私には必要ない。そのようなものを書く暇があったなら私は見たい。もう一度見たい。ベアトリーチェの微笑む顔がもう一度見たい。はあ、ベアトリーチェ、なぜに私をこれほどまでに拒むのか。今こそお前に与えられた全てを返そう。全てを失おう。だから最後にもう一度だけお前の微笑を見せてくれ。ベアトリーチェ、頼む、交渉だ。聞こえているはずだ。お前はそういう女だ。頼む、姿を見せてくれ。いるんだろう。聞こえていながら姿を消し、今もこの部屋のどこかで私を嘲笑っているのだろう。私の前にもう一度現れてくれ。そして微笑んでくれ。なじってくれてもいい。望むならお前の手で私の命を奪ってくれてもいい。このまま一人で死にたくない。お前の微笑みを再び一目見るまでは絶対に死ねないのだ。ああ、ベアトリーチェ、ベアトリーチェ、
ベアトリーチェ
この命はくれてやる。お前にくれてやる。
He's pronouncing it like Italian.
Yeah.
Beatrice.
交
Like
渉だ。ベアトリーチェ。
Ah! Beatrice!
that's a little over the top.
Here we go!
Wow. Huh. That's intense.
Oh yeah.
That's
so,
real intense.
We had an interesting start. Oh, the first day, October 4th, 1986. When you see the first day, you know shit's meant to go down. The first day.
Mm-hmm.
This is a nice track. Okay, so what do you think about that intro, the opening?
Well, one, I really like the music. Like you said,
Yeah.
the music was great. And it looks like it's gonna be a lot more involved than I thought. Like a lot more characters.
Yeah. It gets pretty crazy.
It looks very supernatural too.
Possibly.
But possibly
Possibly, but
dude
possibly
made
not.
a deal with a witch. Like that's gotta be,
Made a deal with a witch, or did he? We will find out.
Oh, you're just gonna be
No.
screwing
Okay.
with me the whole time, aren't you? I can see it.
時代ってやつは進歩してんな。たったの20分でついちまったんだから驚いちまうぜ。
I couldn't help but scratch my head and marvel at how far things come in recent years. We used to go by boat. And back then, we were all forced to endure nearly half a day of sweating back and forth over the sea before we reached Nijima. Things have gotten so much more convenient these days. Still, I've never been on a plane this small. I've flown in a huge jumbo jet before, but this will be my first experience in such a tiny one. It's going to shake, isn't it? They say that smaller boats shake more, so I guess the same rule probably applies to planes. Just spare me.
大丈夫だよ、バトラ君。船に比べたら全然揺れは少ないよ。
And here we have our classic character with the glasses,
Right.
dressed nice.
うわ、ジョージの兄貴かよ。急に勘弁してくれよ。今ので寿命が3年縮んじまったぜ。
And I think we have, yes. Every time something green shows up, it,
There's like an index.
yeah, in the grimoire, but, I mean, you already know the honorifics, but, like,
Yeah.
did you know Anaki and Aniki?
I knew Anaki, but I didn't know
Yeah.
Aneki.
So,
Yeah. That's cool. That's helpful because
Yeah.
I mean I only got into anime within the last couple months, so if someone who was new to it was playing this, that would be really nice to have.
I don't think the original game, like the Steam version, has the tips like that. I think it's this updated version, and I mean they did a really good job with that.
Yeah.
つうか、揺れってなんすか？別に俺飛行機も揺れんのかな、まさか落ちたりしねえかななんて夢にも思っちゃいないぜ。ごめんごめん。もう小さい頃とは違うよね。あれから6年も経ってるんだし、もうバトラ君も子供じゃないか。じゃあ兄貴はタバコも酒も OK ってかよ。タバコは興味ねえけど酒は飲んでみたいよな。兄貴なんかおじさんの遺伝子あんなら相当飲めちゃいそうだけど。僕の場合は好きで飲むというよりは仕事で飲む方が多いからね。日本のビジネスは酒抜きでは難しいよ。
Is he the guy from the opening son? Because
Oh,
he just said based on your father's.
No, he's not his son, but
Okay.
as you'll see, they're all related to him.
Huh.
そうっすよね。だから俺も今晩の夕食あたりに初挑戦してみようかなって。ダメだよ。バトラ君はまだ未成年じゃないか。未成年の飲酒は発育に悪影響を及ぼす可能性がって。
That's debatable.
Yeah.
こんだけタッパがありゃ俺の発育は十分っすから。
That's what college is for.
むしろ
いや
意外と身長縮めた方が服が探しやすいくらい。
I puffed my chest out proudly. Until I hit my growth spurt, my height was below average in my class. But then I grew and grew, and before I knew it, it was over 180 centimeters, which is like divided by 2.54 to get to inches. 180 divided by 2.54, that's like 70 something inches, which is like He's like 6 foot, probably 6 foot something, maybe 5'11", 6'2".
Let's go with that. Yeah.
Sorry, we're any people watching this not in America are probably like, what are you guys going on about? We're the only country in this world, blasted world, that uses feet and inches.
Yeah, the empirical system.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, we also use the metric system too.
Yeah.
It's just we should probably switch to everything to metric.
Yeah, that'd probably be a better idea.
Make more sense.
I guess I have all that muscle training and those shady mail order performance enhancing drugs to thank for that. Before then, I'd never dreamed that I'd shoot 10 centimeters above George Oniki, who'd reached his peak height early on. Damn, I bet my relatives all say, "Look how big you've grown, Battler-chan," or something. That kind of thing is really embarrassing, so I hope they cut me a break. Anyway, my name Battler. Well, it's pretty damn weird, don't you think? I've got to wonder what my parents were thinking when they gave me that name. I've never met anyone who could read it right the first time. I usually get called Sento-kun, which is... config... oh, wrong. Oh, did not mean to go into config. And where are we going? Ah! Tips.
Tips, right?
Yeah, here we go, Grimoire. Alright, Sento, anyone encountering the unique name this, which is Battler, probably tries to read it as something like Sento. No one would guess that he's called Battler. Interesting.
Huh.
The first character means fight, and its readings are Sen, Ikusa, and Tataka. Yeah, that's Jin, like Gaijin or Gaijin. Do you know what Gaijin means?
I've heard the word. I don't know what it means.
Gaijin means foreigner.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Jin, Nin, Hito, Ri, and To. Hito means person by itself. Hitoride is alone.
Okay.
I know some basic Japanese. I took a Japanese Elements 1 last semester. That's
cool.
I don't know too much about it though.
Did you learn any kanji?
Yeah, we learned. I learned Hito right here, person.
Mm-hmm.
I learned some other kanji too, but I mean, probably around 20-30 kanji. So not too much because there's like 10,000 kanji.
Yeah,
There's
it's
2,000 used regularly, but anyways.
that's crazy.
Too bad. Swing and a miss. My name is written la la la.
That's pretty
Can you
good.
read it? Ushiro. This is Ushiro. I know that.
Okay.
We learned this, which means Ushiro means to the left, I think. The first part is my family name, Ushiromiya. That's a fairly plausible Japanese pronunciation so far. The problem is my own name. Battler is made up of the characters that fight in person, and it's pronounced Battler. Put it all together, and you've got Ushiromiya Battler. Pretty crazy, right? It's crazy enough that my parents decided to call me that, but it's even more crazy that some government worker let them make it official. Both groups are at the top of my must-kill list. Anyway, this is one of my cousins. His name is Ushiromiya George, pronounced Ushiromiya George. He's 5 years older than me, probably turning 23 this year. Since the Ushiromiya cousins consist of 2 boys and 3 girls, I ended up playing with George all the time. And because I've always thought of him as a big brother, I still call him Oniki today.
しかしバトラ君は大きゅうなったな。男子3日を渡れば刮目して待つべしとはよう言うたもんや。
Do they say that?
I've never heard that before.
I haven't either.
But Ushiromiya Hideyoshi has!
やっぱり血かしらね。ルドルフも高校くらいまでは身長そんなになかったのよ。
First impressions, especially from that voice.
Kind of sinister, honestly. The voice.
Yeah, they're good old Ava introduced.
成長期が遅い方が最終的には伸びるのかもね。
You know what? She sounds like the stereotypical like anime female villain. Like
Yeah.
she's got that tone, that timbre
Yeah.
to her voice.
Yeah. She, Ava and Hiroshi are George's parents.
そんなことないっすよ。男は中身も伴わなくっちゃ。
そうや。バトラ君は分かっとる。男は中身で勝負なんや。常に己の鍛錬を忘れたらあかん。 そして虎視眈々とチャンスを待ってドカンと開花させるんや。わしもまさか今日会社社長なんて一国一城の主になれるとは思わんかった。そうや、あの無一文の焼け野原がわしの原点なんや。
So when George was mentioning drinking for business, he was referring to his father,
Okay,
who was a business owner, company president.
gotcha.
This portly and slightly chubby man is George Aniki's dad, Uncle Hideyoshi. He's the husband of Dad's older sister. In other words, we're not blood related. He's nice to children, sociable all the time, even quick to give out some spending money to his kids. Simply put, he's an awesome uncle.
Nice.
He speaks in an odd and very noticeable Kansai-style dialect, seemingly of his own creation, but he's actually a natural-born Kanto man, apparently leaving an impression as everything in the business world. So speaking in a different style than other people is an act that makes him stick out more. However, I hear that he gets embarrassed when talking within earshot of a real Kansai person, so he switches back to standard Japanese. I don't really get it, but he's definitely an interesting person.
すぐ自分の自慢話に入っちゃうのがたまに傷なのよね。およしなさいな。
Man, when I first, I don't know about you, but when I first heard Ava's voice, it made me want to punch something.
Yeah, it sounds like condescending.
Yeah, very
You know?
condescending.
バトラ君、耳にタコができちゃってるんだから。ねえ。
そんなことねえっすよ。
I love the voice acting in this game.
でもいい
It's
じゃないっ
pretty
す
great so far.
か。語れる武勇伝があるってのは男としてかっこいいことだと思いますよ。俺なんか語るような話は何もないっすからね。
あらそう？バトラ君なんかそのルックスでいっぱい女の子を泣かせてそうだからさぞかし武勇伝が多そうだと思ったんだけど。
Is she hitting
う
him?
わあだ情報弾じゃないっすよ。そんな妙な武勇伝あるわけないじゃない。むしろ紹介してほしいくらいっす。
あら、あるんでしょ武勇
I
伝。
think she's just teasing him.
Okay.
おばさんにも後で教えてね。ジョージったらそういう浮ついた話が全然ないんだから。
This is my aunt and George Aniki's mother, Auntie Ava. She's my dad's older sister. She and Uncle Hideyoshi are a pair of jokers, and they've always teased me back as far as I can remember. This sometimes made them a bit hard to get along with when I was small. That said, I'm currently in the process of discovering that they are still hard to get along with. Even so, George Aniki's family is still interesting and fun, and they seem to get along just fine. Sheesh, that's pretty much the total opposite of my family.
バトラ君、ルドルフさんを見なかった？
あ、さっきお手洗いに行くのを見ましたけど、まだ出てこないんすか？こりゃぽっくりいっちまったかな。ナムナムナムナム。
No.
What is that?
Let's see. Tips. Derived from Namu Amidu Butsu, Buddhist prayer meaning I follow the Amida Buddha. After the passing of a relative, it's chanted to express thankfulness and knowledge that the dead have been allowed into Amida's pure land.
Wow.
Well, rip him.
Yeah.
自分のお父さんにそんな言い方はないでしょ。まあ、あの人のお手洗いが長いのは今に始まったことじゃないしね。
ああ、あんにゃろは昔っからそうです。雑誌持ってトイレに入るのやめてほしいんすよね。何の雑誌持ち込んで何をしてんだか。
あら、そんな心配は全然不要よ。私と一緒にいる以上、そんなこと一人でさせやしないもの。
なんの話か。後でじっくり聞きたいっすね。
That's
親父め、
huh.
玉まで握られてグロでも出ないわけだ。
Some old family teasing there.
ないとどういうことになるかよくわかってるでしょ。
It's a very open family.
あのクソ親父の手綱はキリエさんにしか無理っすよ。実の息子の俺も喜んで譲っちゃいますわ。
ええ、任せてちょうだい。そういうの得意なのよ。
This woman is my dad's wife. Her name is Ushiro Miyakiri. As you can probably tell from her conversation, she's not my real mother.
Okay, I thought so.
She's basically my stepmother. My real mom died 6 years ago. Kiri-san is the woman Dad married afterwards. I mean, I'm not a kid anymore. It's way too late for me to start calling his second wife Mom. And I doubt she feels like using the word son on this massive kid who's no relation to her at all. We are little kids, and we know there's nothing to be gained by fighting. So we decided we wouldn't force ourselves to pretend that we were family. I've decided to act a bit more frank with her as though she's a friendly neighbor instead. It's much easier to keep a little distance instead of forcing ourselves to act all close and making each other uncomfortable. Kiri-san has been very open about all this, and thanks to that, we've been able to get along pretty well. As we were capitalizing on Dad being away in the bathroom to badmouth him, the man came back, wiping his hands with a handkerchief.
バトラ
なんだよ親父。
Do you see that? The
No.
desk just shook. The desk just shook. I have no idea how.
That was weird.
Okay.
耳つねんな耳。
また母さんと俺の悪口を言ってたろ。なんでお前には父親に対する尊敬の念ってやつがわかねえんだ。
いででででででででででで。ああ痛えよクソ親父。俺の耳伸ばしたって空は飛べねえぞおい。
ほれほれ、縦縦横横丸書いて逆に回して倍率どんどんさらに2倍。
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Was it like a buzzing sound?
Yeah, it's like a buzzing sound. Sounds like my computer's blowing up on itself. Huh.
Is it?
It stopped.
お父さん
That was weird.
Yeah.
って言ってみろ。
My computer just yelled at me for whatever reason.
冗談じゃねえぜ。そういうのは会員制のお店でやりやがるってんだ。でだから話せって。
This old bastard is my dad. I think I'm pretty tall, but Dad's about the same height. It's probably no surprise that Auntie Ava started talking about Dad's blood when she saw my height. By the way, my height isn't the only thing I got for him. It seems having weird names runs in the family. Dad's full name is Renu Shiromiya Rudolph. Can you read it? Not many could, I'll tell you that. That mess of characters is pronounced Rudolph. He must hate grandfather for giving him that name. Still, that's no reason to pass that weird name and tradition on to me. As the old bastard twisted my ear all over the place, Auntie Ava snuck up behind him and grabbed his ear.
こらこらルドルフ、息子に乱暴してるんじゃないわよ。
で言ってよ姉貴。
The scene before me was a perfect realization of the trope of the older sister who deals out punishment to her prankster younger brother despite his size.
エヴァ姉さん、そのくらいにしてあげてください。同じ分、後で反対の耳を私が引っ張って伸ばしておきます。
あら、ごめんなさいね。キリエさんの引っ張る分も残しておかなくっちゃ。ルドルフ、後でたっぷりキリエさんにお仕置きしてもらいなさいね。
たく、姉貴こそ弟いじめもいいとこだぜ。
I don't know if I just have a dirty mind, but I'm getting some real interesting vibes from these conversations.
I didn't get that vibe at first.
秀
But
吉兄さん
okay.
も
Yeah.
こんな姉貴を拾ってくれて本当にありがとうございます。兄さんの寛大さがなかったら今でもまだ売れ残ってますよ。弟として申し訳ないです。
誰が売れ残るって？
After taking 2 or 3 steps back, Auntie Ava unleashed one of her beautiful high reverse roundhouse kicks, which stopped just a centimeter away from the tip of Dad's nose. After starting with Tai Chi Chuan for her figure, Auntie Ava then had developed an interest in Chinese martial arts. After that, she went through karate, taekwondo, capoeira, and what is it she's learning now again? Well, anyway, they say a woman's weapons are in her lower body, and that's literally true for Auntie Ava.
ルドルフ、側頭部直撃だと一発で混沌するわよ。この間演舞でミスって相方泡吹いちゃったんだからね。
いやいや、足癖の悪い姉貴で本当に申し訳ないです。
What families actually interact like this with each other? That's what I don't know.
I don't know. This is
Dad completely unfazed shrugged and smiled ironically at Uncle Hideyoshi.
わしには兄弟がおらん。だからエヴァとルドルフ君のじゃれ合いを見とると胸がポカポカしてくるんや。兄弟や家族はほんまにええもんやな。
あら、ジョージ君に弟を作ってあげるという話はないんですか？もうジョージ君も立派な大人になって手も離れたでしょうから、次の子がいてもいいでしょうに。
おいおいキリエ、生まれてくる子の苦労も考えてやれよ。よくこの性悪姉貴から生まれて、ジョージ君はあんなにもまっすぐ育ってくれたもんさ。
Throwing some shade.
Yeah.
本当にジョージ君は偉いな。うちのボンクラに今度爪の赤を分けてやってくれ。
Throwing some more shade.
そんなことないわよ。エヴァ姉さんの教育が間違ってなかったから、ジョージ君はあんなに素直ないい子になったんだから。ですよね、姉さん。
あらあら、そんな。
Don't flatter
どう？
me.
うちのジョージもまだまだ頼りなくって。そうそう。
I don't
それ
like
よ
it.
りお宅のエンジェちゃんはどんな具合なの？吐いちゃったって聞いたけど。
そうやそうや、久しぶりに顔が見れると思って期待してたんやで。大丈夫なんか？
いつも季節の変わり目に風邪をひくんです。どうも弱くって、本当は連れてきたかったんですけど、今回は私の実家に面倒見てもらっています。
それが賢明よ。本家の毒気に当てない方が治りは早いもの。大人の都合より子供の病気の方が大事よ。
わしな、吐く風邪によう効く薬知っとんや。帰ったらすぐ送るさかい使うてくれや。
ありがとうございます、秀吉兄さん。いつもお世話になりっぱなしで。
And once the conversation suddenly veered off in that direction, we kids didn't have any chance of butting in. For now, I'm just happy that Auntie Ava gave Dad his desserts for tugging on my ear.
まだ天候調査中がなくならないね。
George Aniki pointed at the counter. The pending weather clearance sign was still stuck near to the scheduled departure time for the flight we were scheduled to board. According to Aniki, smaller planes are more subject to winds and other effects of the weather, and it's not all uncommon for flights to be delayed because of that. Wait a sec, it isn't really going to shake, is it? From down here on the ground, it just looks cloudy, not windy. Well, I guess it's different up there where planes fly.
ちょっと天気が怪しいものね。
Auntie Ava was looking at a TV in the lounge. The weather forecast was being broadcast, informing us that a typhoon was approaching the Kanto region.
また台風か。親族会議が毎年10月ってんじゃ。もうちょい時期を選んでくれりゃいいのによ。
どうかね。私もお盆の時期にやってくれればっていっつも思うわよ。ならルドルフ、それ今回の会議でお父様と兄さんに提案してみればいいじゃない。
冗談。姉貴が言えよ。俺が何を言っても兄貴は聞かねえよ。
いやよ、私は別に10月でも困らないもの。ルドルフが台風が嫌だからって言うから提案したらって言っただけよ。
俺は台風が来るのはいつものことだなって言っただけだろ。お盆の時期がいいって言い出したのは姉貴だぜ。
あら、去年ルドルフも言ったわよ。お盆の時期なら仕事のスケジュールとも合わせやすいのにって言ったわよ。私そういうのは絶対忘れないもん。
いや言ってねえよ。言ってんのはいつも姉貴だよ。
知ってる？寸止めって高等技術なのよ。
チッ、いい年した女がはしたないことばっかしてんじゃねえぜ。
Dad and Auntie Ava's argument looks no different from a couple of brats
普段
bickering.
は父親や母親として振る舞っていても、こうして親族会議で元の兄弟に出会うと子供の頃の自分に戻っちゃうからだろうね。
と冷静に分析できるジョージ兄貴の方がずっと大人に見えるぜ。俺は将来あんなクソ親父みたいにはなりたくないに。なるなら兄貴みたいな知的な大人になりたいもんだぜ。
僕かい？僕なんかまだまださ。社会経験が全然足りないし、社交性も度胸も足りない。バトラ君にはそれらのいくつかがすでにあるように思うよ。だからきっと成人したら僕なんかすぐに追い抜いちゃうさ。
George Aniki stretched his head and laughed as though trying to hide his embarrassment. Of course, he was just being humble. Aniki entered the university and became an apprentice at Uncle Hideyoshi's company at the same time, studying both academics and how to become a business emperor in parallel. Then, right after graduating, he got into Uncle Hideyoshi's company as his father's aide, piling up a lot of real-life experience as he devoted himself zealously to his work. He even has grand dreams of one day standing on his own and becoming lord of his own domain. Aniki is a real paragon of a man, sparing no effort as he strives towards his goal. It's no exaggeration to say that I really respect him. And then there's me. I'm nothing at all like Aniki. I'm living my happy-go-lucky idle high school life to the max. I've got no dreams for the future. I just like to sit back, stay cool, and let the money flow in, but of course that could never happen. When Aniki was my age, he had already formed an impressive objective and had started devoting himself towards studying for that goal, so I guess I can't compare at all. My dad just says, sure, you can study at the company, if you like cleaning toilets. Damn it, I'm not going to be in the debt of that old bastard. I'll find my way myself. I guess that intensity is my one qualification towards adulthood. Should I go on one of those self-searching journeys that are all the rage these days? Well, it's not like I could mooch off my parents with that kind of money. Right then, Uncle Hideyoshi shouted out loudly. Uncle is a really nice person on the whole, but he does have a problem controlling the volume of his voice. When I looked over, I saw he was greeting Aunt Rosa, who'd come late. New music.
Rosa さんやないか。マリアちゃん、久しぶりやの。
久しぶり。マリア、お久しぶりです。でしょ？言ってごらん。お久しぶりです。
そうや、よく言えたな。ご褒美に飴玉あげような。おっと、あれ、どこにしまったんや。
ローザさん、お久しぶりです。マリアちゃんもお久しぶり。
ご無沙汰してます、キリエ姉さん、秀吉兄さん。あら、バトラ君？大きくなったわね。
いや今日は会うたびに言われてて恥ずかしいっすよ。
おう、ローザ、遅かったな。飛行機がダイヤ通りだったらギリギリってとこだったぜ。
ごめんなさい、列車の接続がうまくいかなくて。何？また天候調査中なの？
ぼやかないぼやかない。船で6時間も揺られるくらいなら飛行機でほんの30分の方がずっとマシよ。たとえ1時間余計に待たされたって全然早いんだから。
マリアちゃんも大きくなったで。今身長いくつあるんや？
身長いくつあるんや。
Maria parroted Uncle Hideyoshi's question, looking up at her mother. I guess she doesn't remember her own height. She's probably right in the middle of a growth spurt, so her height might just change every month. In just a few more years, she'll probably start looking very feminine.
この間の身体測定でいくつって出たっけ？これでも少しずつは伸びてるんですよ。ねえ。
去年よりもずっと成長したと思いますよ。今年で9歳でしたっけ？
9歳。
そうだね、9歳だね。マリアちゃんも元気そうでよかった。
She's got that like
よいしょ。
that crown.
Oh yeah, you
もう
see that.
高いをするにはちょっと重くなってきたかな。
うわ、ジョージ兄貴、そりゃレディーに失礼だろ。俺がやってやるぜ。高い。
When I went to lift her up in Anaki's place, Maria stiffened defensively, staring suspiciously at my face. Oh, that's right. The last time I met Maria, it was 6 years ago, and she was only 3 years old. Of course she doesn't remember my face.
マリアちゃん、覚えてる？
Of course she doesn't. She was 3.
She was 3. There's no way she
一緒
can
に
remember.
遊んでもらったの忘れちゃった？
無理だろ。最後にバトラと会ったのは3つの時だぜ。3つの時の記憶なんかの。
She must know everyone's face apart from mine because she meets them every year, but I haven't had contact with the Yoshiromiya family for about 6 years now. So it's no surprise that this 9-year-old girl doesn't have any memories of me. Even I can only just barely remember her being a 3-year-old crybaby.
マリア、バトラお兄ちゃんよ。ルドルフおじさんの息子さんわかる？おじさんの息子さんが、おじさんが息子さん。
That ooh is probably the sound of her brain breaking, unable to understand the complicated explanation. I guess it was a bit too confusing for her.
マリアちゃん、彼はバトラ君、僕と同じいとこだよ。
庄司お兄ちゃんと同じバトラいとこ。
そう、よくできたね。
This part of Aniki is what makes him really look up to me, or makes me really look up to him. For someone who isn't married, he's just great at dealing with kids. I'm sure that he'll be an indulgent father in the future.
バトラお兄ちゃん。
Maria looked straight at me with a questioning expression, as though asking whether it was alright to call me that.
おや、俺がバトラだ。よろしくな、マリア。
バトラ。こらマリア、呼びつけちゃダメでしょ。バトラお兄ちゃんと呼びなさい。
いいっすよ、ローザおばさん。細かいことは気にしないっすから。まあマリア、俺とお前は名前を呼びつけ合う仲だもんな。
バトラバトラバトラ。
おや、マリアマリアマリア。
That was my computer again, I think.
Was it?
Yeah.
What would be making that noise?
I have no idea.
Is it a car jack? Or the controller vibrating?
That's what it is.
That's what it is.
It's the controller vibrating for whatever reason.
Yeah.
I was thinking my computer was exploding. My Xbox controller is plugged into the back of my computer, and then it's vibrating
Through the desk and making this like...
Yeah, it's vibrating really violently, and I'm thinking something inside my computer is just shaking. I'm like, oh no, my fan's gonna explode. But no, it's this controller. Ah! But I'm surprised. Oh. Did the sound just cut out for you?
No.
Oh. There we go. I bought my headphones.
Oh, okay.
She's just the way I remember her being 6 years ago. Seems that people just don't change that much after all. I'm a bit happy that she's still the pure innocent girl I remember. Her name is written Ushiromi Maria. That's not so difficult to read. Of course it says Maria. The third character looks like a cross, which is pretty cool. Huh. It's like a cross.
Looks like the,
thing on her head.
Yeah.
Her feelings don't usually show up on her face, so it can just be difficult to know what she's thinking. Well, that's just how she looks on the outside. On the inside, she's just a sweet, normal girl. And then there's Maria's mother, Aunt Rosa. She's my dad's younger sister. Rosa is written. And here's a name that's totally not Japanese. Sorry to say it, but her name's almost as ridiculous as Dad's. I've got to respect her for not ending up as screwed up as he is. When I think about it, all the names of my family sound foreign. Just why is grandfather so obsessed with this? I'm sure you noticed that. You're like, why are all these people like Ava, Rose, Hideyoshi, Hideyoshi's normal, but that's because he's not related
not
to
from
the
the
family.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're putting a lot of effort into going into describing their names.
Yeah.
So it's obviously important somehow.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see how it develops.
Because of him, even us grandchildren have to put up with this weird name. Well, also this game, one thing this game does do is it goes into character building really well. It does character building, character development really, really well.
Okay. Yeah.
That's like, there's a lot of this intro information before it actually gets into like the meat of the first chapter. Just to introduce the characters into like, so you get to know how they think and how they act, which is why I really think the writing in this game is really good.
Yeah.
But it's even more annoying since grandfather's own name is perfectly normal. Anyway, there's one thing about Auntie Rosa that's a relief compared to the other family members. The old bastard and Auntie Ava have this annoying urge to tease and mock people all the time. But even though she shares their blood, Auntie Rosa isn't like that at all. She has the most common sense among the siblings. Like Uncle Hideyoshi, she's a kind aunt who will always be on the kid's side. However, possibly because she's more strict as a parent, she's not liberal with handing out spending money like Uncle Hideyoshi is. Apparently
Does that mute it?
there's a mute button on this controller. Alright. Now we have the entire group of family members who are going to board the plane. Oh. Ha! Apparently, I don't know what I did, but apparently you can get into this,
You can just
Best
listen
browser.
to...
You can go
Or
back.
look back and see.
Yeah. Oh, I just muted again. Oh, there's nothing. There's no whiz lines. Here we go.
マリアマリアマリア
Ooh.
I love that.
Tap on it with one finger, left click, or press enter. Okay. Anyways. Back to the game.
Do you want to keep going with the narration?
Do you want to take over?
Yeah, I mean... Sure, I'll go for it.
Cool.
If that's cool.
Yeah. Here. You just press the right button.
This one.
Yeah.
As though it had waited for us all to gather, an announcement rang out through the
お
lobby.
待たせしました。新島行き201便の搭乗をこれより開始いたします。ご搭乗のお客様はカウンター前の白線前に2列でお並びください。
ローザ、搭乗手続きまだだろ。急げ急げ。
いけない。マリア、いらっしゃい。
We had to go through a metal detector before going out on the runway. Our small plane wasn't as massive as an international flight, but it was still a plane. A staff member holding a metal detector checked us all. Once all of us cleared the check, we followed the staff member out onto the runway. Come to think of it, everyone here is in the Ushiromiya family. Is that how you say it?
Ushiromiya.
Ushiromiya. It's like this is a reserved charter flight or something.
Might be.
Interesting. Our group stopped in front of the entrance to the airplane. Then, our guide turned around and spoke, looking down at the passenger list as she did.
それではこれよりご搭乗となります。名簿をお読み上げいたしますので、前方の座席、右側から順に右、左。次のそれではお読み上げいたします。後宮秀吉様。
わしからか。はい、そうだエヴァ。飴玉あるか。さっきから探してるんだが見つからないんや。
後宮エヴァ様。ハンドバッグの中よ。機内に入ったら出すわ。
I've heard that candies are a good way to protect your ears from hurting due to variations in atmospheric pressure when landing or taking off. That's probably what they're talking about.
俺の席。
大丈夫だよ。窓際席しかないもん。
According to George Aniki, there are apparently only 2 lines of seats. Yep, it's a small plane, alright. It isn't really going to shake, is it?
後宮ジョージ様。
はい、大丈夫だよバトラ君。あんまり揺れないから。
後宮バトラ様。
兄貴、あんまりってどのくらいだよ。船から落ちても泳げるからいいが、飛行機が落ちたらそれでおしまいなんだぜ。もちろん客席にはパラシュートがあるんだろ。ねえの。
後宮ルドルフ様。
ほらバトラ、感動してねえでとっとと奥行け。
いや聞いて親父。おさって。
Apparently the controller vibrates
パ
whenever
ラ
you
シュー
use
トがねえんだ
pitch.
よ。
Yeah.
後宮桐江様。
ほら仲良くじゃれてないの。進む進む。
痛えよキリエ。押すなって。ボンクラが進まねえんだよ。
後宮マリア様。後宮ローザ様。ほらマリア、静かにしなさい。
Something
こち
real
らは
bad's
機
gonna
長の
happen,
川
isn't
端
it?
です。本日は
Plane's
新東京
gonna
航
crash.
空
Dun, dun, dun,
201便
dun.
をご利用いただき
It's kind of what it
誠にあり
feels
がと
like.
うございま
It's
す。
very foreboding.
新島空港までは約20分のフライトの予定です。上空の気流が乱れているとの報告が入っています。
Oh, it's gonna shake.
多少の揺れがあるかもしれませんので、離陸後もシートベルトは外さないようにお願いいたします。
兄貴、シートベルト外しちゃいけない揺れってなんだよ。じゃあ僕やら
Putting your
離
damn
陸後は
seatbelt.
シートベルト外せるぜ。それが外しちゃいけないってどんな揺れだよ。くそー、騙された。何が揺れないだ。パラ ラシュートどこだよ。
This dude does not like flying.
やっぱり俺は船が良かった。
Rest in peace.
Seriously.
Legend of the Golden Witch.
Interesting.
This is the intro after the intro. Ushiromi Badler. Ushiromi George. Ushiromi Jessica. Ushiromi Maria. Ushiromi Kinto. Ushiromi Kraus. Ushiromi Eva. Ushiromi Natsui. Ushiromi Hiroshi.
All of the
Ushiromi Rudolph. Ushiromi Kirei. Ushiromi Rosa. All of the what?
Rudolph, Kraus, Ava, like those are German names. Like,
Yeah? There might be a reason for it. Nanjo, Genji, Shannon, Cannon, Goda, Kumasawa.
the art is great. I
is
love it.
good art.
I love it so far.
Umineko. No, Naku Kono ni Rondo, the Witch in Reasoning. If you pressed A, it muted the thing.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Whoops.
Every time I think I thought pressing A would advance it, but apparently it doesn't.
Yeah.
8 in the morning. Arrival at the
やっぱ
airport.
船だよな。
Saturday, October 4th, 1986.
落ちる落ちるマリア、もういい加減になさい。でも意外ね。バトラ君、てっきり怖いものなしだと思ってたから。
こいつ昔から乗り物がなぜかダメでさ。二言目には落ちるだの沈むだの。情けない男だなおめえは。
ありゃさすがに揺れすぎだろう。
Kinda don't understand why he's so scared of planes.
I don't know either. I feel like a boat would rock a lot more than a plane.
I do too.
小型機乗るのは初めてだったからちょいと答えちまっただけだぜ。
あの大騒ぎでちょいとなの？バトラ君とは海外旅行を一緒に行くと賑やかそうね。おばさんとエジプトとか行かない？ 14時間も飛行機に乗れるわよ。
Yes.
Definitely.
いい提案ね。バトラ君、エヴァ姉さんに少し鍛えてもらいなさいよ。それにしてもおかしい。
こらこら、人間誰しも得て増えてはあるもんや。そない笑うたら
These
悪い
people
ね。
laugh a lot.
Yeah. And Hideyoshi does like a Waluigi kind of thing. The wahaha.
Wow. Yeah. That's funny. There we go.
There it is.
父さんも笑うのは悪いよ。ほら、マリアちゃんももう笑っちゃダメ。
もう笑っちゃダメ。
Yeah. Damn it. Is being scared of planes really such a big deal? Everyone obviously thinks I'm a big oaf now.
Well, you're scared of planes.
So yeah, kind of. We split up and took separate taxis from the airport to the harbor. From there on, we would be taking a boat to the island. The islands are right next to each other, so it's not that far. It would be a leisurely 30 minutes by boat. We arrived at the pier where the boat to the island was anchored. We saw a silhouette waving its hand.
ジョージ兄さん、お久しぶりだぜ。
We should run with Jessica.
ジェシカちゃん、
Wow,
1年ぶりだね。
another unusual name.
せ、また伸びたんじゃないかい？
よしてくれよ。毎年言われんのは恥ずかしいぜ。
おいおい兄貴、嘘だろ？こいつが本当にジェシカなのかよ。
ってことはジョージ兄さん、このデカブツ。
Also, please.
We both stared each other down. She definitely didn't look this grown up in my memories, but I do remember her crazy way of talking.
Alright. Grimoire, Jessica's speech. In Japan, men and women traditionally speak differently, and this difference is much larger than what you hear in English. Jessica's speech is masculine, blunt, casual, and assertive. This is quite evident in the majority of her lines, using assertive and traditionally male particles like they and casual slangy contractions.
That's cool.
Yep.
いいよジェシカなんだよお前嘘だろ何女みたいな格好してんだよ
Rip.
なんだよこれ胸かよお前にも胸なんかできたのかよ
Dude, calm down.
Double rip.
What the
もませろもませろい
Dude,
Triple
ふ
rip.
ざけやがれ。私は花も恥じらう18だぜ。髪だって伸びりゃ出るとこだって出るぜ。てめえに揉ませる胸なんざあるもんかい。バトラこそなんだよ。バカみてえに図体だけでかくなりやがって。ちった腕力ついたのか。
ざげんじゃねえあれからどれだけ鍛錬積んだか思い知らせてやんぜ
うぜえぜ
interesting.
返り討ちだ。
This headstrong girl's name is Ishiromiya Jessica.
Yeah.
She was born under the same unlucky star as me, sharing the same kind of weird name. You see, that is pronounced Jessica. She's Dad's older brother's daughter. The older brother that happens to be the eldest son of the Ushiromiya family, so I guess that also technically makes Jessica a direct heir to the Ushiromiya family. Since Jessica and I are the same age and had that type of boy-girl rivalry between us, we've always been used to fighting and joking around together whenever the relatives gathered. Jessica grew more quickly, so she always had me beat in terms of size and physical strength. So when we scuffled as a contest of strength like this, it usually went Jessica's way. So even though I clearly understand that I'm bigger now, I still feel like I can't win against Jessica with my strength.
なんだよ。何マジになってんだよ。いててて。
おいおいおい全然力入れてねえぜジェシカお前貧弱になっただろ う
るせえぜ。こちとら女やってんだ。いつまでも腕力で男に勝てるわけねえだろ。
まあそりゃそうだよな俺が腕につけた分の肉をお前は胸につけたんだもんな俺の腕とお前の胸ならちょうどいい力比べになりそうじゃねえのか
Dude.
だからお前に揉ませる胸はね
Aren't they like cousins?
Yeah.
え。それよりお前こそどうなんだよ。身長以外にも他のところ
Oh my
ちゃん
god.
と大人になったのか。
バカやめろいやんこの野郎お嫁に行けなくなる変なとこ触んないで
人様が聞いて誤解すること言うんじゃねえ。
Honestly, I was so surprised at how feminine Jessica had become that I had to seriously horse around to hide it. Well, yeah, considering what a bossy brat she was 6 years ago, anyone would be surprised. And I guess she's just as surprised. She definitely wasn't expecting she'd lose to me in a test of strength. After losing that easily, she must be shocked at how much I've grown in the past 6 years. 6 years. Once again, I'm being shown just what a huge gap of time that was.
やれやれ乾杯だぜ。こりゃもう私じゃかなわねえな。
そんなことないよ。バトラ君にもきっと弱点はあるよ。ね、マリアちゃん。
落ちる落ちる。
ちょっとバカよせマリアそれは内緒にしような
落ちる？なんだそれ。
あいにくだがこの弱点はジェシカにはもうさらさないぜ何しろ悪夢の空路はもう終わっちまったんだからなあとはのんびりチャボチャボとお船の旅さあのオンボロ漁船がこれほど恋しくなるとは思わなかったぜ
Boats rock too.
Yeah, I feel like, again, more so than planes.
Yeah.
ああ？ジョージ兄さん、こいつ頭どうかしたのか？
すぐにわかるよ。すぐにね。
That look.
At the time, I didn't understand what Aniki meant by that big smile.
これははあ、バトラさんも大きくなりまして。
Who's it this time? It's an old lady with an apron. Oh yeah, that takes me back. I remember now.
バトラ君、覚えてるかい？ほら、お手伝いの熊沢さんだよ。
熊沢のばあちゃんは忘れねえぜ。何しろこの6年ちっとも老けちゃいねえぜ。むしろ若返ったんじゃねえの？
最近はお肌がピチピチしてきちゃって、ほら胸もますますに大きくなっちゃいましたんですよ。
Okay.
飲んでみます。
That's enough.
Okay, alright. What is going on here?
ご冗談。俺が揉みたいのはピチピチした姉ちゃんの胸限定だぜ。
私とて若い日にはそれはピチピチしておりましたよ。ほらほら、ぜひどうぞお揉みくだ
This is
さいませ。
actually only weird like this in the introduction.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not like this the entire time. I completely forgot about any of this, and I'm like, was it really like this?
I feel like this is kind of setting you up to be like uncomfortable with this kind of thing, and then it's just gonna completely change directions later on.
Maybe.
勘弁してくれよ。若い姉ちゃんだ、若い姉ちゃん。熊沢のばあちゃんじゃねえよ。
Grandma stream. The jokes I'd cracked about Jessica were being used against me. Come to think of it, she always was the type to tease people.
おいおいよせよ熊沢さん。監獄に半分足突っ込んだ人がはしゃいじゃいけねえぜ。
若い方とじゃれるのが何よりの若返りの薬ですよ。
熊沢さんが迎えに来るなんて珍しいじゃない。どういう風の吹き回しかしら。用事を頼まれるといつも腰痛になるあなたが。
エヴァ様は相変わらず手厳しゅうございます。急なお買い物がありましたもので、そのついでに皆様のお迎えをしようと思いまして。もっともお迎え待ちの老いぼれのお迎えでは景気も悪いでしょうが。
Everyone has a very distinctive laugh.
They
I don't
do.
know if that's important, but
They do. It's not really like important, but it's interesting how the voice characters or the voice actors are able to differentiate themselves.
Definitely. Auntie Ava spoke sarcastically, but Kumasawa Ba-chan's years of experience were nothing to sneeze at. She was more than capable of smoothly and coolly letting that comment slide. Well, I'd rather not say it, but old Kumasawa Ba-chan might be past her prime as a servant. She might act as though she's in good health, but between her headaches and the lumbago, her body is wearing out. To tell the truth, the very fact that she's still working is impressive. How old is she this year again? She must be pushing 80 by now. It's incredible that she's still able to act so brightly.
ますますにお元気なようで。そうだこれ。前に話してたお茶です。ほら、買ってきました。後で飲んでみてください。
Auntie Rosa showed her the souvenir bag she'd taken out of her suitcase. To think that she had remembered the promise that she had apparently made last year and faithfully bought it. This sort of thoughtfulness was just like Auntie Rosa. She wasn't the kind of person who would forget or break a promise. As for Kumasama Ba-chan, she seemed... That's gonna trip me up a lot.
Yeah.
She seemed deeply touched by the fact that not only had Auntie Rosa remembered that year-old promise, that she brought that gift for a simple servant like her. This woman is Kumasawa Chiyo-san. She's a senior servant who's been working for the Ushiromiya head house for many years. Wow. As you could expect from someone her age, she isn't that good at manual labor, but from kitchen work to cleaning and laundry, she's a kind of super servant who can handle just about anything. It seems like her only flaw is a tendency to slack off. I hear she tries to get away from heavy or troublesome work by playing up her chronic diseases. In Kumasawa Ba-chan's case, maybe we should call that a sort of lazy craftiness. Though it probably doesn't impress those paying her salary. Oh well, even if she's pretty flaky when it comes to work, I could never dislike her. I guess that's probably because of her cheerfulness and her constant smile.
いやー、相変わらずお元気そうで何よりでんな。あれから背中の具合はどないでっか？
薬を飲んでもちっとも良くなりませんで、こればかりはお医者様ではどうにもなりません。不治の病っちゅうもんですわ。
それにしてもジェシカちゃんはますます美人になったな。夏日姉さんに似てよかったぜ。
そうですか？私的には全然似てないつもりなんですけど。つうか親には似たくないです。尊敬してないんで。
こら、そんなこと言っちゃダメよ。それにしても親に似たくないって言ってる人が多いわね。うち。
あ、それ俺。
バカ言え。お前こそ俺に似るんじゃねえ。お前の鼻が似ててムカつくんだよ。
何言ってんのよ。呆れるくらいそっくりよ。あなたもお父様もね。
おいおい、そりゃねえだろ。俺のどこが親父に似てるってんだ？
傲慢で偉そうなところとかそっくりよ。あんたと兄さんは特にお父様の血が強いわね。ねえローザ？
ええ、まったく。クラウス兄さんもルドルフ兄さんも信じられないくらいお父様にそっくり。
おいおい、参ったな。なんで俺だけ女どもに集中放火なんだ？秀吉兄さん、助けてくださいよ。
いやいや、ルドルフ君はいっつも女性にモテてるな。羨ましいで。
相変わらずモテモテでお羨ましいことです。それでは皆様、お船の方へお乗りくださいませ。さあさあ、マリアさん、一緒にお船に乗りましょうね。
一緒にお船に乗る。みんなも一緒に乗る。
おや、もう今度は怖くないぜ。
She's 9. Yeah, but also like, I feel like if you're 9, you're a little more coherent, but maybe that's just me.
涙入れるのは慣れてるしな。
Something's definitely up with her that we're gonna find out about.
あのオンボロ漁船の場合、揺れて怖いってよりエンジンがぶっ壊れて漂流するんじゃねえかって方が怖いぜ。
そうだ、バトラ君、言うのを忘れてた。あの漁船はだいぶ老朽化してたんで数年前に引退したんだよ。今は他の船が島まで運んでくれるんだ。
ああ、そっか。バトラは新しい船が初めてなんだな。
Yes.
快適だぜ。すっげえ速いんだ。何しろとんでもないスピードが出るんだからさ。
ほう。ってことは船旅の時間がさらに短縮されたわけ。そりゃ素晴らしい。何しろ飛行機よりマシとはいえ沈没の危険にさらされる時間が少しでも短くなるってんだから、こりゃ極めて素晴らしいぜ。
バトラはまた落ちる。
そりゃ飛行機の時だけさ。もう大丈夫だぜ。
Yeah.
何しろ船長自慢の改造高速艇らしいぜ。だいぶいじってるらしく、プロペラは高性能のが4機もついてて最高速度は40ノットを超えるとかなんとか自慢してたな。いつも自慢されるんで覚えちまったぜ。
僕も毎年聞かされるんで覚えちゃったよ。船長は昔外国の漁船と速度比べをして負けて以来、スピード改造に取りつかれちゃったんだってさ。その時の相手は漁船なのに30ノット以上も出せたんだってね。
その雪辱の念が結実してスカッと爽快な超高速改造艇の誕生となったわけさ。バトラもきっと気に入るぜ。
Super high speed modded boat. My first thought was that this would be much better than some beat up boat that might sink at any time. But for some reason, I'm getting this feeling of foreboding. Nah.
Nah.
Nope. Not at all. Not a problem.
おいバトラー、島までは泳いで行った方がいいんじゃねえか。
バトラ君、柵からあんまり身を乗り出しちゃダメだよ。
It's not shaking at all.
落ちちゃうから。
チェックしろー。さっきからみんながニヤニヤ笑ってたのはこれだったのか。
The super high speed boat, said to have been modded to hell and backed by its captain as a personal hobby, was definitely nothing like the battered old fishing boat from 6 years ago.
揺れる揺れる揺れる。落ちる落ちる落ちる。
I'm gonna spaz out.
Yeah, I'm having like a seizure right now.
落ちる落ちる落ちる。
落ちたら海じゃねえかよ。溺れちまうぞ。パラシュートだじゃねえぜ。浮き輪はどこだ。ライフジャケットをくれ。
なんだよバトラー、おめえそれ何の真似だよ。
ジェシカちゃんもマリアちゃんもいじめちゃ悪いって。バトラ君も怖いなら甲板に出なきゃいいのに。船内ならもう少し怖くないと思うけどな。
そいつはサンキューだぜ兄貴。海難事故の犠牲者はいつも船内なんだ。生存者を抱いて事故時は甲板なんだぜ。だから俺はここにいる。でも揺れる落ちるふわふわ。
揺れる落ちる。マリア、よしなさいったら。でもバトラ君、本当に苦手なのね。船長さんに速度を落とすように言ってきてあげるわ。
ローザおばさんありがとう。海の上でも安全運転徐行運転指差し確認。
ダメよローザ、青年には試練も必要なんだから。ねえバトラ君、これくらいへっちゃらで克服できちゃうわよね。じゃないとおばさんとエジプトに行けないわよ。
エヴァおばさんの意地悪。ダメ落ちる。ライフジャケットパラシュート。いや、
This is a lot.
ひっくり返して考えるんだ。敵の狙いは何だ。俺をこうして怖がらせることか。そいつが狙いなら甘いぜ。ビビってなんかやるもんか。でもダメ落ちる。
They should change the name of this to Boat Simulator 2018.
Yeah, basically. So, after I made a huge fool of myself for a while, Auntie Rosa had a talk with the boat captain, and he slowed down to a more manageable speed for me.
これくらいならなんとか。さっきのは生きた心地がしなかったぜ。
The new speed, which I was capable of tolerating, was apparently extremely slow. But that just now was completely insane. The whole boat was shaking, sliding and leaping on the ocean's surface. It felt like I was riding on the back of a flying fish. Jessica was still guffawing at me as I leaned against the railing, tired and disheartened.
さっきは力比べで負けたけどよ、もっと重要な部分で負けてなかったことが分かって私は嬉しいぜ。いやしかし
くっそー。好きなだけ笑えよ。いつか弱点を見つけ返して てめえの胸もみつぶしてやる
Like, can you imagine talking like this to your cousin? Like,
I mean, well,
見つけられたら考えてやるぜ。
yeah, but also like,
she doesn't seem to care.
yeah. I don't know, it just seems like a lot to me.
Maybe it's slightly different in Japan.
Could be.
バトラヘロヘロ。
ああ、バトラヘロヘロだ。海も空もごめんだぜ。俺は陸の上で死にたいさ。
Oh, whoops. Her expression was blank, as usual, but I realized that she wanted to console me.
バトラ君、船長が罪滅ぼしにってドリンクをサービスしてくれたよ。飲んで一服しないかい？落ち着くよ。
George Aniki and Kumasawa Ba-chan brought us each an ice-cold drink with drops of moisture on the can. Judging from Kumasawa-san's big grin, our parents inside the boat were probably all rolling around laughing at my moment of pure terror. Damn it, I'm so embarrassed I can't even bear to face any of them. If I didn't change the subject somehow, I had the feeling I'd be the butt of everyone's jokes for the whole trip, so I tried to think of something harmless to talk about.
ああ、ジェシカ、クラウスおじさんと夏日おばさんは元気なのかな？
親父とおふくろ？残念ながら元気だぜ。二言目には勉強しろ勉強しろってうるせえけどよ。秀吉おじさんとかルドルフおじさんとかそういうこと言わなそうだから羨ましいぜ。
とんでもない。僕も受験を控えてた頃はいっつも受験受験って言われてたよ。うるさくも思ったけど今は感謝してるよ。
はあ、やっぱりジョージ兄貴は人間ができてるな。ちなみにうちは絶賛放任中だからな。なんにも言われないぜ。まあ言われたって聞かねえけどな。
バトラさんはまだご実家には戻られておられないのですか？
うん、まあちょくちょく戻るようには。
Yeah.
まだ服とかだいぶ前の家に残してるんで。
おお、バトラ、お家が2つある？
まあな。
どうしてお家が2つ？
Only Maria, who couldn't really grasp the situation, voiced her naive question. However, the others just shot nervous glances at me, choosing not to respond even though they knew the answer.
マヤ、ほら、船着き場が見えてきたぜ。ほら、あれ。
Diversion 101.
見えるか？
Yeah, really.
船着き場見えた。船着き場見えた。
Apparently, Jessica was trying to be nice by changing the subject. Oh well. I'd rather not talk about it if I can help it, but it's uncomfortable to have it treated like some kind of weird taboo. I don't mind that much myself anymore. I am in Ushiromiya. But the truth is that for the past 6 years, I've been living with my grandparents on my late mother's side, and I've even been using her family name. When those grandparents passed away one after the other, I'd basically had no choice except to go back and live with the old bastard. Don't get me wrong, I didn't just run away from home or anything like that. The only one at fault here is my dad. I don't really blame Kiri-san. Being able to hold that old bastard's reins and ride him out is no mean feat. But as for the betrayal that the old bastard inflicted on my mom, well, unfortunately, I still haven't fully gotten over that.
もうすぐ着くね。
George Aniki cleared his throat, trying to change the topic.
失礼しました。年寄りが余計なことを言ってしまったようで、お気に障りましたら。
気にもしてないし、触ってもないぜ。気にすんなよ、熊沢のばあちゃん。
Kumasawa-san seemed to regret speaking out of turn. But I was more concerned about being worried over for something like that, so I stood up and passed it off lightly. After that, I had a sip of my drink and headed over to Maria and Jessica, who were gazing at the silhouette of the island.
バトラ、島が見えた。島が見えた。
どれどれ。おお、見えてきたな。6年ぶりでも記憶と寸分変わらない島影だぜ。
Mocking Maria is so fun.
It is. She's a lot to handle. This small island silhouette in front of us had gotten pretty close. The island's name is Rokkenjima. It's a small island about 10 kilometers around, located in the Izu archipelago. Since they call this archipelago the Izu 7, lots of people think there are 7 islands, but that's not true. There are actually more than 7. Rokkenjima is one of the minor islands that don't get counted. Even considering that, there are probably very few people who know about this island. After all, only the people of the I'm sorry, I have trouble saying that. How do you say it?
Ushiromiya.
Ushiromiya.
It's a tongue twister at first.
Yeah. Family come to this island. In other words, it has no ties whatsoever to outsiders or tourists. Perfect place to have supernatural shit happen. I'm telling you now. So never find this island's name in a travel brochure. That is because all of Rokkenjima is an estate possessed by the Ushiromiya head house. Wow, jeez, I'm sorry. Only the family lives there, and only people connected to the
family
Ushiromiya family come here and go there. There's nothing there except a harbor and a mansion. The vast majority on the island is still just uncultivated forest. Such a waste, when it could be made into a nice golf course. However, when you realize that the entire coastline is a private beach, it starts to sound pretty magnificent. You might have realized it by now, but to put it simply, well, the Ushiromiya family is just rolling in dough. The fortune possessed by the head house is apparently vast, and Dad and the others who make up the branch families have built up plenty of wealth for themselves, finding success in their respective businesses. I've been living a commoner's life in my grandparents' home these 6 years, so I'd completely forgotten. But the old bastard's house really is elegant, and everything about it is tuned to match the snobbish tastes of the annoyingly rich. Come to think of it, I guess that means George Aniki, Jessica, Maria, and I all are wealthy, high-class gentlemen and ladies. Needless to say, none of us feel that way at all. I don't see myself as being rich, and George Aniki, who takes self-discipline very seriously, doesn't let himself get too comfortable. Jessica is always complaining that she'd rather move to the city than be rich, and Maria is still a kid who isn't even interested in money at all. I guess that attitude itself is snobbish. From the perspective of people in poverty who can't pay the bills, we're very lucky to even have the luxury of thinking this way. This isn't the place to explain any further, so I will. Anyway, it's the same as not being able to choose the parents you're born from. I didn't ask to be born into a rich family, or be called butler. And I don't think it's something I should be hated for. It can be pretty trying when people are prejudiced against you just because you're rich and refuse to judge you by your merits. As I pondered these sentimental thoughts, Maria leaned over the railing and started shouting.
Ew!
Ooh, ooh. Wait for it.
ない
どうしたんだよマリア、何か落としちゃったのか？
ない
Maria kept yelling, "Gone, gone." From her words alone, you would think she had perhaps dropped something, but she was actually pointing out over the ocean as she shouted.
どうしたの？何がないんだい？僕も探してあげるよ。何？
If she dropped something, she would probably have looked down at the floor, but Maria was pointing out over the ocean. One would assume that she had seen something out over the ocean, but she kept saying that something was gone. Strange. However, since my last memories of this place came from 6 years ago, I was able to spot it before Aniki, who comes here every year.
確かさ、この辺の小さい岩の上に鳥居みたいなのがなかったっけ？
Go for it.
Cool. Tips time. Tori is a ceremonial entry gate to a Shinto shrine that is usually red and has very recognizable and prominent square shape, consisting of 2 vertical or slightly inward tilted pillars joined by 2 extended horizontal bars, one crowning the pillars and the other just below. Sometimes many tori are used in a series along path.
Nice.
そうだ、確かにあったぜ。島に近づいてくると最初に迎えてくれる目印みたいなもんだったからよく。
へえ、バトラすごいじゃねえか。6年ぶりなのによく覚えてるもんだぜ。
あったね。僕も思い出したよ。鎮守の社と鳥居みたいなものが岩の上にポツンと立ててあったよ。そういえばないね。去年は確かにあったと思う。
ないない
Maria's world is collapsing.
She can't handle it.
大方、波か何かでさらわれちまったんだろう。小さい岩だったしな。だいぶ風化で脆くなってたんだろうさ。
私もそうだと思ってるんだけどよ。亡くなっちゃったのはこの夏のことなんだよ。なんでもよ。
ある晩に大きな稲妻が落ちてお社を砕いてしまったんだとか、鎮守様に落雷があるなど、これは不吉の兆しに違いない。くわばらくわばら。
Kumasawa-san smiled impishly as if teasing us, rubbing her hands together. However, Maria was apparently taking it seriously, and she stared fixedly over the ocean to where the crag enshrining the local guardian deity was supposed to be.
よせよ、熊沢さん。マリアはそういう冗談の通じない年頃なんだからさ。
Joke. In quotes.
大丈夫だよ、マリアちゃん。偶然だよ。何も怖いことなんか起きないよ。
They're just patronizing us at this point. George Aniki put a hand on Maria's shoulder to calm her down, but Maria's sharp-eyed expression didn't budge.
不吉。不吉。
Maria muttered that word over and over. Apparently, repeating a single word over and over is a habit that Maria's had for a long time. However, since the word she was saying was quite literally ominous, it was a bit creepy.
おいおい、マリア。そんなに何度も繰り返してたら、本当に不吉がやってきちまうぜ。
Do you want to take the reins over?
Flags. Yes. I tapped Maria's other shoulder, and then Maria whipped her head around, stared into my face, and spoke unblinkingly. Hour of Darkness soundtrack has come on.
Oh boy.
不吉。来る。
The Prophet Maria has spoken.
Seriously.
どこからさ。
I answered lightheartedly, trying to break the tension in the air. And in reply, Maria held up a finger, raised her arm high, and pointed up to the heavens. When I looked up, I saw that the sky was still just as cloudy, but it had grown a great deal more leaden than it had been this morning. That's right, they were saying a typhoon was approaching. We had planned to spend one night on the island, but if this storm doesn't pass quickly, I won't be able to make it to school on Monday. Well, I guess it makes for a pretty good excuse to be absent. She apparently sensed something ominous in this cloudy sky. She's been muttering for a while now. Girls at Maria's age tend to be very impressionable. She's just about the age when many girls start to get excited about sixth senses and whether they have any psychic potential and stuff.
Whether they're a magical girl or not.
In a way, being sensitive about things like this isn't really out of the ordinary for a kid like her. Plot twist, she is a magical girl.
大丈夫だよ、
No.
マリアちゃん。
I was gonna
天気は
say.
今夜くらいには崩れるかもしれないけど、明日には良くなって綺麗な青空になってるよ。
おー、綺麗な青。
そう、明日になれば綺麗な青空になるよ。止まない雨はないし、晴れない雲だってない。
止まない雨、晴れない雲。
確かに台風が近づいてるけどよ。すぐに過ぎちまう。大丈夫さ、マリア。
Jeez.
Maria started yelling, "Ooh, ooh!" It looked as though she was having something, a tantrum because no one could understand what she was trying to say. What in the world was Maria trying to warn us about? Unable to understand her, we could do nothing but feel a vague sense of foreboding. I've heard that everyone can feel the supernatural, but that it weakens as you age. That might mean Maria, the youngest one of us all, still possessed some kind of sense that the rest of us had lost. I wonder if that sense is sending her a warning. At that moment, Kumasama quietly opened her mouth.
なんで六軒島はその昔。
熊沢さん、その話はなしにしようぜ。
Just as Kumasama was about to tell some kind of story, Jessica sharply interrupted her. For Jessica, this was extremely firm reaction. I wanted to push her further, just out of simple curiosity. But judging by how Jessica was acting, it wasn't difficult to imagine that it would simply inflame Maria on these further. If if I did try to press her for the story, the odds were pretty good that it wouldn't be anything bright and cheery.
それは申し訳ございません。ここの風は年寄りには応えますんで、ちょっと失礼させていただきます。
She knows so much more than they're letting her say.
Gossipers have no reason to hang around after they've been told to stop chatting. When Kumasawa-san finally realized she'd overstepped her bounds, she went back inside the boat. After she left, Uncle Hideyoshi came along to replace her. Since he'd shown up partway through, he completely failed to notice the complicated atmosphere that hung about the scene. So refreshingly and unwittingly, he swept that atmosphere aside. So in the end, it was his unwittingness that brightened the mood.
到着だそうやない。おう、もうちょいやの。今日はのんびりスピードだから時間がかかってもうた。
I don't know about you, but it feels like we've been on this boat for hours already.
Yeah, it kind of does. I was thinking the same thing.
うわ、秀吉おじさんも勘弁してくださいよ。
I can sympathize with them.
もっと言ってやってください。
Yeah, about the boat ride taking forever.
Oh,
I
yeah.
feel it taking forever.
Yeah.
バトラのせいで時間かか
I
りす
thought
ぎ
you were
です
saying you had been on long boat rides before.
No,
or something.
I've actually only been on a boat once before.
Oh.
Niagara Falls. That was ages ago. But I've never actually been on a boat since then. Oh, I was on a ferry actually. Off the shore of Maryland.
Okay.
But besides that, yeah, I really haven't been on a boat.
Yeah, it's been a while for me.
Maria had probably come to the conclusion that no one was going to listen to her. She hung her head, wearing a fretful face. As she did, George Aniki crouched down to meet her eyes and spoke to her kindly.
マリアちゃん、何も怖くないよ。だって僕たちが一緒だもの。
We're all in this together.
一緒だ
Oh
と
boy.
何も怖くないんだよ。言ってごらん。
一緒だと何も怖くない。
Because friendship and magic.
Yeah.
Yes.
Friendship will save their
何も
lives
怖くない。
if something is trying to kill them.
Why do you think something's trying to kill them? You go right to something trying to kill people.
I don't know, man. It's just kind of what I assume
ジョージの
when
兄貴の
people
言
are
う通
talking
りだ
about
ぜ。
ominous and foreboding atmospheres that feel like there's going to be murder involved.
Murder involved? What if it's just like somebody steals a flower or something? They have to figure out who stole the flower.
I don't think you could have a successful visual novel about that.
俺たちが一緒にいると
Maybe.
いつだってなんだって絶対に怖くねえんだな、ジェシカ。
ああ、間違いないぜ。ジョージ兄さんの言うことはいつも本当だよ、マリア。ジョージお兄ちゃんはいつも本当。
うん、僕は嘘をつかないよ。だから信じて。みんなと一緒にいれば何も怖くないんだよ。
He's too smiley.
ジョージお兄ちゃんは嘘をつかない。
Perfect.
And Matt's already begun to suspect characters of a crime that hasn't even happened yet, and might not even happen yet.
He hasn't shown any faults or anything at this point, and that makes me suspicious.
Suspicious of what?
Of
That he's going to steal the flower?
I don't know. Maybe he is the flower.
He is? Oh.
You know?
Oh, okay.
Maybe it goes that deep.
Maybe he gets stolen.
信じる。みんなと一緒にいれば怖くない。怖くない。
I'm not afraid. Maria jumped into George Anaki's arms and hugged him tightly. After Anaki patted her head, she jumped away again. Her facial expression had returned so completely to normal that she looked like a totally different person from moments before. She was once again the ordinary Maria.
みんなと一緒だからもう怖くない。
Let's see if the, I just want to check something. I want to see if the old character sprites are in the config file. No old character sprites. Okay. Oh, maybe right here. Nope. Volume is there though. Rumble strength. Ooh, that's why. Rumble strength is on all the way and strong.
Yeah.
Lip synchronization. BGM character display. Interesting. Cool. Alright, I hadn't looked through those, so.
ああ、そうだぜ。
Could probably show
More
me what the
haiky
old ones look like.
Yeah, I'll show you that at some point. They're interesting. They're really rough drawings.
Oh, really?
It's like somebody sketched the characters.
Huh.
The Ryushiki 07, the author of this, he he drew all the characters at first, and they're not refined like this. So
Okay.
all the character sprites are like
A little more rough around the edges.
look like they were drawn with crayon.
マリアは強いな偉いぜ
Ooh.
マリア偉い
And this is gonna be how Maria always refers to herself in third person, just because it highlighted I'm. Referring to yourself. In Japanese, Maria uses her own name instead of the word I when talking about herself. This is called Iliism and is common among young Japanese children. It sounds cute and childish in Japanese and can be used by young adult women to achieve the same effect.
Is that why Mayuri calls herself Mayushi all the time?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly. Valerie Zore,
Interesting.
which is masculine, self-asserting, very casual way. Boku, George uses Boku, which has a youthful, boyish, casual, and humble feel. Botachi, which is a neutral way of saying I. He or she uses washing because around with a strange accent. There are many others. But yeah. Anyways.
That's cool to know because I would hear that in shows, like people using those different ones, and I never knew what it was for.
Yep.
That's neat.
マリアちゃん船酔いだったんか
まあそんなとこですもうじき着きますね
The harbor was already drawing near.
Finally.
We're almost here. We're almost there.